Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Going bell to bell with the best in professional wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's get to all the exciting pro wrestling action and bring on the host. Here is Mark Hoke.
And good morning again to you, Las Vegas. Hour number 2 of the Mark Hoke Show, the best in pro wrestling news and entertainment. We are very happy to have you joining us, all of you out there. Appreciate everyone who's listening. And, of course, on 101.5 FM, the Odyssey app. Download that right now, AUDACY. Amazing app, tons of great shows, all your favorite KDAWN programming, plus a whole lot more. You won't believe it. Check it out, AUDACY. And, of course, we are streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X. So you can get in there and interact with the show, put in comments, ask questions. Of course, the YouTube and Facebook are the Mark Hoke Show. X is at Mark Hoke Show. So come join us. You can have a little fun with that. And I say us because I have a very special guest. I'm welcoming him back to the show, even though I apparently cannot talk today. From the True Heel Heat podcast, SP3 is back, baby. What's going on, my friend?
Glad to be back, Mark. You've been on the True Heel Heat podcast the last 2 weeks, so I had to show up on your show on a Sunday. So hello to everyone out there. I am glad to be here.
Very happy to have you joining us, sir. And thank you for having me on the podcast. Anytime, all you got to do is ask, brother. I got you.
Absolutely. Had a great time the last 2 weeks with you, Matt.
Yeah, thank you. So a ton of things happening in the pro wrestling world as usual. But I'm going to start with a little bit of some serious topics for you because I want to hear your perspective on some of these things. Because, you are African American, and the comments Swerve Strickland has made recently and some other stuff that's been coming up on Twitter, I really want to hear your perspective on this. Of course, Swerve just got that new contract, and he is making some serious coin. Good for him. We were talking about that, I think, the last time you were on the show, that he got the bag. But he made a comment on the Breakfast Club this week that when, of course, WWE had said, they overpaid, they weren't happy about it. Swerve's comments back were the only complaint when a black person gets paid. I will say that. We shake the foundation of things like that. Oh, snap, wait, that's not what we would pay. Then why are you calling me? Why are you asking me? If I'm not your concern, then don't worry about it. Don't worry about my pockets and our money. We're good. You have your talent. You made your decision with me 2 years ago. No hard feelings for me. I keep it moving. I'm going to figure my way out. I'm going to build myself up. So I thought it was interesting that he said that because, there's been some other comments being made about African Americans not being on pay-per-views on WWE. And, that's been flying around X lately too. But first on Swerve's comments, do you think that's fair for him to say that? I'm torn on it because I can understand where he's coming from. But at the same time, I think WWE was just kind of ticked off that Tony Khan raised the, raised the bar on salaries, and they're not happy about it. What did you think when you heard all this?
I think that Swerve has a lot of credence to say what he's saying, because the last time that WWE, basically this is WWE's PR department more than, X, whoever you want to say is your favorite management in WWE. It's more of their PR department that it kind of likes to put out these stories as far as like, oh, Tony Khan overpaid for this person, overpaid for that person. But the last two major times they've said that was with Mercedes Moné and with Swerve Strickland. Will Ospreay got a big amount of money. Then their story was Triple H saying, oh, he's running away from the grind because he picked AEW over WWE. Kazuchika Okada, they gave Shinsuke Nakamura a whole push last year just to sign him. and he signed a big money deal with AEW, and they didn't say the same thing, the same verbiage that they said with Mercedes and with Swerve. With Mercedes, they wanted to offer her an amount of money that wasn't equal or of the same value of a Charlotte Flair, of a Becky Lynch, and then she decided to go to AEW, and they were like, oh, they overpaid her. That's the reason that she's going over there. And now with Swerve Strickland, they're saying, oh, they overpay him. We wouldn't have paid him that type of money. Yes, it is a part of what you're saying that, yes, Tony Khan is raising the market value, but we have to kind of pay attention and acknowledge the fact that the 2 times that they're saying that Tony Khan overpaid is with African-American talent.
That is interesting. And then, of course, we've been seeing a lot of comments about how, not a lot of black males on the WWE premium live events. And that's been getting pointed out quite a bit. And once again, it's an interesting situation because there's not that many on the main roster. There's a lot of great talent down in NXT, but kind of running down the roster, I was looking and I'm like, I didn't realize there were so few black wrestlers on the main rosters right now. It's kind of odd when I think about it. And I'm not saying WWE's racist or anything like that. I could never back that up if I could, but from your perspective, what do you think about the situation with black representation on the main rosters and what's been happening in terms of booking?
I have noticed it. I didn't make it that big of a deal until kind of we see what the fallout was with Bobby Lashley leaving the company, because Triple H was not booking him to his satisfaction, and he made that decision with his contract expiring to leave the company. And it made me pay attention to the fact that Triple H has been in the head of creative since the summer of 2022 with Vince McMahon, resigned for the first time. That's when Triple H was kind of brought into power. And since then, someone who I thought was like a top 5 star in the company, Bianca Belair, she has basically kind of hit the back burner. She's been used more to help out a Jade Cargill and prop up that star than being viewed as a mainline star, a top star on the same level of a Rhea Ripley. I think that they've kind of put her on the back burner or brought her down a bit. And then, sometimes when a person is on top for a long time, you got to bring them back down to make their rise a little bit bigger. So that was fine. Then you look at the Street Profits. The Street Profits were one of the most popular tag teams in WWE, and a lot of nights they get one of the loudest pops of anybody out there. But we have to acknowledge the fact that in the 2 years that Triple H has been in power as the head of creative, they've gone down a couple of steps. Like, they haven't been tag team champions in 3 years. They haven't, been in the tag team title program until very recently. And I think that they have kind of been put on the back burner. They were put in that whole stable with Bobby Lashley. They wanted to push them as heels, but they are just way too over and way too likable with the fans. So they had to bring them back to babyface. And then they put them in a 4-month feud with the TikTokers and Karrion Kross. And then they would just kind of just push down the shelf a little bit. They're being brought back more and being given a spotlight, the last couple of weeks. And that's good, but we have to acknowledge the fact that they have been brought down. It's just way too many black talents under the Triple H regime have kind of been put on the back burner where, you then look at the roster with the Bobby Lashley, with the MVP leaving. They moved Cedric Alexander over to NXT because seemingly black talents get more of an opportunity over there. But I think that the reason that the black talents haven't been featured enough on premium live events is more of a structure issue, which I have been very adamant in pointing out that the Triple H 5-match routine for these premium live events is an issue. And it really kind of goes on to some of these talents that should be featured on premium live events more often. Like Andrade and Carmelo Hayes have stole the show 6 times with their series. They deserve a spot on a premium live event. I'm hoping they get that for Crown Jewel or Survivor Series, but the fact that they've had 6 matches and none of them have been on premium live events, that says something. And the fact that they're in a program right now with one of your most popular baby faces in the company in LA Knight, that when they eventually do that triple threat, that better be on a premium live event and not on TV. Or I'm once again going to point out the 5-match merchant that Triple H is. It worked in NXT. It worked for takeovers. It does not work with 2 brands on the main roster when you have 100 different talents on both shows that you can feature on premium live events. You have to at least go to 6 for B pay-per-views. Like, 5 matches is not enough for these premium live events. People are paying $300 per ticket for some of these international shows.
Yeah.
Like in the cheap seats, they're playing 300 pound, and that's even more U.S. American dollars than what we would pay. They are paying that for 5 matches with an hour worth of commercials in between. Yeah, you get an opportunity to stretch your legs and go to concessions, but I'm sorry. I'm not paying that much for 5 matches.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons behind all of that. And that, I think that's a very interesting point, that it almost seems like WWE is taking a less is more approach right now on a lot of these PLEs that aren't the main ones. And, I don't know if that's right or not. I mean, I think that I get it to a point, but at the same time, like you said, they're leaving a lot of people off of these PLEs that need to get the chances. Now, I don't want them to go the Tony Khan route and make it 12 or 13, but 7.
No, we could meet
7?
in the middle. Yeah, just meet in the middle.
Yeah, now
even with Tony Khan, sorry to interrupt, but even with Tony Khan, we saw with like All In had 9 matches, All Out had 8 matches on the main card. Like, he's coming more into the middle than Triple H seems to be willing to do with the 5 matches.
Yeah, and then it causes problems like this. Perceptions that you're slighting, African American talent or whomever. It's very difficult. Now we got Xavier Woods getting back into the spotlight a little bit, which I think is going to be interesting. But I'll share a little quick story about what guys like them mean to the African American community. When I was here in Las Vegas for a SmackDown, and it was the night that Bayley trashed the Bayley Buddies, if you remember that evening. Yeah. The New Day came out, and I was sitting right next to a black family, a couple of young kids. And when the New Day came out, they went nuts. I mean, they went crazy. And you could just tell what that meant to them to have, black role models coming out for these wrestling matches. I mean, it was, I'm sitting there like, wow, they really love these guys, and I don't think it was just because, they're funny and cool, but because, you feel like you've got somebody that represents you, and it's important. And I think that the fact that people are starting to see this, WWE's got to make some changes on this quick. Maybe pull some guys up, start featuring people more. Like you said, get that Carmelo Andrade feud on a PLE, because whether it's accidental or it's or intentional, you don't want that perception out there. You just don't.
And that's the reason why I've been saying for the last couple of months now that we as fans have to speak up and say something. Like, because that is what caused the change originally in WWE. Vince McMahon was very much akin to this, where he wouldn't feature the black talent in prominent roles. But we spoke up, we said something, and he was forced. He was basically had his hands tied to push the New Day up there, to put Kofi Mania and having his moment at WrestleMania 35, for Bobby Lashley to become a WWE champion, for Big E to become a WWE champion. Even back in the 2000s, someone like Booker T was able to elevate into that spot. We have to say something, because Triple H right now, I think that sometimes he's kind of in that complacent mode, because WWE is hotter than it's ever been. It's on fire. It's going to the stratosphere, and there seems to not be a ceiling. They're just broke through the ceiling, and they're going past the moon with how successful and how their business is going, whether it be ratings, whether it be profits, whether it be live events. They are above and beyond anything that they could have imagined. But when you get into that place, you feel very complacent, and you're like, I can do no wrong. Y'all gonna take it. Y'all gonna love it. Y'all gonna buy a ticket. Y'all gonna watch the show. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happens. But we as fans have to speak up and be like, no, that part you need to change.
Do you think the Street Profits should stay together? Because they teased, of course, Montez Ford, breaking away. And, he looks great in his wrestling. And nothing against Dawkins either, because Dawkins can go. I think he's very underrated. But do you think it's time for them to make a break, maybe?
I felt like that maybe like 2-3 years ago, but I really feel like there is still a little meat left on the bone with them as a duo, and you could be doing more. And I thought recently, they had a show-stealing matchup on an episode of SmackDown with DIY. And the fact that we're getting that triple threat ladder match, that's another match. We just talked about Carmelo and Andrade. You're telling me this triple threat ladder match for the WWE Tag Team titles couldn't be on Bad Blood? You got the Bloodline, which is the hottest act in the company with Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. You got DIY that always delivers in their big spots, and Street Profits that are always delivering in big matches. Why can't that be on a premium live event? So I think there is still more for them. They still can, get another run with the tag team championships. I think eventually they could have a nice heel run as well. So there is a point that, breaking them up might give them more opportunities, where it's two different individuals that have the opportunity to be elevated. But I still think that they can be a tag team together on WWE television.
Yeah, and it's kind of a shame that the WWE has a track record of when you have a tag team that one of the guys can't go after a singles title without you breaking the team up. I mean, we can go all the way back to Shawn and Marty, and even beyond that. And I just wish sometimes that they could say, let the guys stay together. Let them be friends. One celebrates the other's success, and then if you want to do a turn at some point, all right, fine. But, it would be cool to just have a team stay together for once, and it's resulted in some great feuds over the years, but still, let's keep the Profits together, man. Keep those solo cups coming.
And there's just been so many decades of history where WWE only pushes one of the guys. Yeah. They never push both of them. Yeah, and we just seen that this year with Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. They were a great tag team that I was saying should be the tag team champion.
Agreed.
And then you broke them up. Ludwig Kaiser's doing fine. He's got a prominent role on the mid card on Raw, but Giovanni Vinci is dead on arrival.
Yeah, and that's a shame. It really is. And I loved Imperium. I mean, if you watched a lot of the work that those guys did in NXT, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So I didn't understand why they broke them up either. It didn't make any sense. And then to do what they've done to Vinci has just been a crime, an absolute crime.
Agreed. And Giovanni Vinci is could be one of the best in-ring performers on the main roster. It's just sad that they just gave him a gimmick that didn't work for them. It worked on NXT for me as a fan, as a viewer, but for them, they didn't like that gimmick, and then they gave him back that gimmick when he went over to SmackDown, only to have him job out in a total of 2 minutes in his first 2 matches since coming back.
It's horrendous. But one guy that's not horrendous is SP3 from the True Heel Heat podcast. We're very happy to have him on the show, and we're going to head to break. But before we do, just want to remind everybody, and I'll have to have SP3 on this show, too. It's Thursday night, start around 8:15, 8:30 Pacific time. We're going to be introducing the Mark Hoke Show late night version. That's right. And it's going to be totally different from the show. We're going to have a ton of fun on there. We're going to be starting that on, I believe the date is October 11th. Yeah, 11th. October 10th, excuse me. So if you want to check us out on that, that's going to be exclusively on YouTube and Facebook and X, so it'll be live streamed, but here from the KDAWN studios. So check that out. Get ready. The Mark Hoke Show late night. Maybe I'll get drunk. See, SP3 likes that idea. There you go.
Absolutely. I'm here for it.
I'm sorry. My boss would probably get mad if I was drinking alcohol around the board, but we won't tell him. Stick around, everybody. We've got a whole lot more coming up on the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN. We're going to keep it rolling with SP3. Talk about a little bit the AEW Grand Slam. That picture, Shane and the Young Bucks. Uh-oh. More AEW guys hanging around Shane. Look out. and a whole lot more. Stick around, everybody. We'll be right back.
.1015 FM KDAWN. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
Yeah, they haven't fired me yet here at KDAWN. I appreciate that. I'm Mark Hoke. Thanks for being with us, having a great time talking pro wrestling here on KDAWN 1015 FM, the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Download it now. And, of course, you can subscribe to us on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show, Facebook The Mark Hoke Show, and on X at Mark Hoke Show. We have SP3 from the amazing True Heel Heat podcast. They do an incredible job over there. You got to tune in and check it out because their shows are just a lot of fun. You'll definitely enjoy it and learn something, too, while you're at it. So make sure you check that out. It's TRU Heel Heat. SP3 on the board with me today. Very happy to have him along for the ride. Let me just real quick get your impressions about AEW Grand Slam. Your thoughts coming out of it. Anything stand out to you in there?
I thought Wednesday's show was great. Some great wrestling up and down the show. I thought Nigel and Brian took me back to 2006 with the rivalry that made me fall in love with Ring of Honor. I thought the Young Bucks versus United Empire, Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, was one of the best tag team matches of the year. Just simply spectacular chemistry between all four guys. And the main event was just awesome fun. Darby Allin, man, I swear, he's going to die in the ring one day, but he's one of the best TV wrestlers I think we've ever seen. The way he puts his body on the line, and Jon Moxley just looking like an absolute bully and monster in there. Great match to close the show and setting up for a Wrestle Dream with Moxley and Bryan. So I thought top to bottom, really damn good show. Hook retiring the FTW championship, MVP showing up, making his debut in AEW. So it was the two things I asked for with any great TV show in wrestling. It's noteworthy and has great wrestling. So this gets a big thumbs up for me.
Yeah, you talked about the Moxley and Darby Allin match. Darby took a hell of a beating in there, but Moxley, to me, took it to a little different place. I mean, we've seen him, bust himself open and bleeding all over the place and, and portraying that kind of a monster. But in this match, he didn't do that. He just came off as looking ridiculously strong, powerful. Like, what are you doing, kid? You can't hurt me. You can't. I mean, it was a different Mox, and I really enjoyed that. And that makes me even more excited to see where his new group is going because, that was a really cool performance by John.
Yeah, and it's going to be great because he's going against another great old underdog, arguably the greatest underdog babyface of all time, Bryan Danielson, at Wrestle Dream. And the group has a really good story going on, whether it be the whole Moxley and Bryan in the lead up to Wrestle Dream, the Wheeler Yuta side of it. I thought that was one of the most noteworthy things from Collision Grand Slam last night is Wheeler Yuta kind of playing the child of divorce in the middle of all of this and being kind of triggered to snap in that matchup, helping Pac and Claudio retain the Trios championships, but still not being 100% on their side. So it's going to be, is Moxley, Claudio, and Pac able to convince him that they're on the right side, or is he going to still align with his mother of this divorce, Bryan Danielson, and stick with the mentor that has taught him so much? He's even using his finishing move, the cattle mutilation, to pick up his victories as of late. So I think that it's helping Wheeler Yuta kind of become a three-dimensional character in the middle of all of this. And that's what the BCC, what we were told it was all about. It was all about shaping the future of the business. And while I haven't been enjoying how he's just been washing Private Party in, the matchup last night, and then the beatdown a couple of weeks ago, breaking Isaiah's hand, but it's bringing some fire out of them on their promos. So it is helping in that sense. I just want them to look a little bit stronger when they're fighting against the BCC, but I'm very interested. And I think that's like the best story that's going on in AEW right now.
And we saw Shane McMahon show up at an airport with the Young Bucks. They said they were on the same flight together. I don't know if I'm buying the it was just happenstance and coincidence line. Not buying it. But one thing that I was taking a look at, because I went back and was just kind of reviewing everybody's careers that are in that group with Mox, Claudio, Pac, and Marina Shafir. And when you look at those four, they really got screwed over late in their runs with WWE. I mean, you could say Pac was underutilized, Claudio was underutilized, Moxley got turned into Captain Gas Mask, and then Marina Shafir, never even made it to the main roster, even though, she was a pretty big cog for a while in NXT. And I'm just wondering if Shane is going to show up in this thing at some point with these guys and say, you know what, when I was there, I loved these guys and my dad screwed them over and now we're out for revenge. As it would be an interesting little angle. So it's not necessarily a WWE invasion angle, but it's, it's the cast-offs and you can associate Shane a little bit that way instead of him just showing up. Any thoughts about that, or what do you think Shane's going to be doing here?
I don't like the idea of Shane McMahon aligning with them because I feel like they're so good that I think that Moxley should be the mastermind of all of this. It shouldn't be someone else coming in and they've been like the mastermind behind this, the higher power, if you will. I think that Shane would be more useful with another group, and it is the individuals that he took the airplane ride with the Young Bucks. And they get Shane to kind of be their consigliere and, be their benefactor in paying off and getting ownership over, AEW, or 50% ownership of AEW with Tony Khan, and kind of rebooting or reigniting the spark that started in the spring with the power struggle that was the Elite versus, Tony Khan and AEW. I think that is a way to kind of bring the attention back to the Elite in the midst of, Blackpool Combat Club declaring war on the originals of AEW and Bryan Danielson. I think Bryan aligning with like your Darby Allins to go against the BCC, I think that's an isolated thing that you could focus on. I think that eventually it leads to Moxley beating Bryan for the AEW World Championship, and then Darby Allin dethroning Jon Moxley to finally become the AEW World Champion, because I feel like the whole setup for the matches at Grand Slam didn't make too much sense. And in the long run, it just made Darby Allin look like an idiot because he had a guaranteed shot at the AEW World Championship that he just put on the line when he could have just had the matchup with Bryan because Bryan wrestled on that show. So it made him look stupid. It made the whole thing and making those two matches very convoluted. But the way that you can kind of go full circle with all of that is for Darby Allin to dethrone Jon Moxley. And I think throwing Shane McMahon into that story only will make it more convoluted. You got to make it more streamlined, a little bit more simpler. Focus on the whole fallout of the BCC. Focus on elevating Wheeler Yuta within the story, and focus on the end being Darby Allin being the one who steps up for the AEW originals and dethrones Moxley to prove himself.
Yeah, it sounds like an interesting idea there too. This is, pro wrestling is just too much fun right now. It really is. It's just so many possibilities and so many awesome things going on. It's incredible. The Bad Blood pay-per-view is coming up this week, SP3, who, by the way, joined us from the True Heel Heat podcast. What are you thinking about Bad Blood? I mean, I was talking to Phil Stamper in the last hour about it, getting his take on everything, and the betting odds are kind of weird. But how are you feeling about Bad Blood right now? What are you expecting out of this thing?
I'm excited for Bad Blood, to be honest with you. I think CM Punk and Drew McIntyre have put together WWE's best feud of the year, and their promo work over the last 2 weeks has been absolutely tremendous. I think that CM Punk hit a home run with his promo 2 weeks ago. I think that was his best work since before WrestleMania, and arguably his best promo since he came to WWE, where he really elevated the rivalry between him and Drew McIntyre, why it was necessary for Hell in a Cell, the danger of Hell in a Cell, talking about how his family didn't want him to be in the match, and promising blood when it feels like this rivalry, this feud has earned blood, has earned a very old school Hell in a Cell matchup. It's earned the Hell in a Cell stipulation, where it's a Hell in a Cell for a reason, not just because the pay-per-view is called Hell in a Cell. And I think Drew McIntyre doubled down on all the things that Punk accomplished with his promo this past week on Raw, where he really kind of, got serious, didn't make his usual jokes about Punk. He's like, he hates Punk. This is why we need to be in Hell in a Cell. My family doesn't want me to be in Hell in a Cell. Hell, my wife doesn't even want me to be near you because of what you have been doing to me mentally, what you have cost me throughout my career. And this is why I am promising you're going to bleed a lot. And I think that they have really made me anticipate this matchup. And that's why I think this matchup should be the main event of the show. But I understand the other side of it, which you have the two biggest stars in the company, Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, teaming up for the first time ever. I've said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns are Hogan and Macho. They're The Rock and Austin. They are the two top stars that are battling for that number one spot. But right now, they have to come together for a common enemy of the bloodline. I think Solo Sikoa gets a lot of flack online, but I think he's done very, very well for the spot that he's been given as the top heel and the leader of the bloodline. Jacob Fatu is a future WWE champion, and this might be his biggest match yet, going against the two top stars in the company. So that's a huge matchup to have on the show. And then you got the two Judgment Day matches with Damian Priest and Finn Balor, who really, when you look at the whole show, they might get like the least amount of hype and buzz around it. But I think they have a huge opportunity to kind of break out and really set the tone for what's going to be an even longer rivalry between the two of them that might even culminate next year at WrestleMania. And then Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley with Dominic Mysterio in the shark cage. That's your sports entertainment goodness right there. I mean, that's just going to be entertaining to watch. And they had a great matchup at SummerSlam, and I think this one will be just as well. And then Nia Jax and Bayley, I think a lot of people were down in their SummerSlam match. I liked it a little bit more than other people did, but I think they have another opportunity to kind of have a very good matchup on this show. So I think top to bottom, this is one of the better 5-match cards. Like I said again, I don't mind him adding another matchup. You've done Bill Gunther versus Sami Zayn. Love to see that on the show. But hey, for the 5 matches that have already been announced and maybe the card, this is a really damn good one and arguably the best of the year that they've built this up so far.
Yeah, it's interesting too, by the way, I mentioned this last hour, that betonline.ag has odds up for the Gunther and Sami Zayn match. If it happens, it's up there, so maybe they know something that we do not quite yet, but that would be a lot of fun. And you mentioned Finn Balor too, and I think Finn could use a really good match right here as a breakout. He's been kind of buried behind everybody, if you think about it. You know, with Damian doing what he's been doing, and Liv and Rhea and Dominic, and Finn's kind of the forgotten guy a little. So getting him a win in this match. Oh, excuse me, he's not the betting favorite, but it would be good, I think, for Finn to make a statement in this one.
100% agree with you. I think that Finn Balor it's more the booking, because I think that Finn Balor still can be one of the best wrestlers in the company in WWE today. But I think that the booking have kind of made him a jobber to the bigger stars on Monday Night Raw. Like his last singles win in WWE was in June. Wow. It was against Dragon Lee. That was the last time he picked up a singles win. Like he's doing well with the World Tag Team titles with JD McDonough and getting wins that way. But in one-on-one competition, when you haven't won a singles matchup in almost 4 months, you got to change that trajectory and going against. And like you said, I think that, the fans have really kind of embrace Damian Priest as a future top babyface for the company. And he is one of the top babyfaces over on Monday Night Raw. Rhea Ripley is right behind Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes as one of the most over talent in all of the WWE. Then you got Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio, and their whole act, just them separately from the Judgment Day, is very over and get the most heat out of everybody, really. And then you got all those people in the same storyline with Finn Balor that, yeah, he feels like the fifth guy out of that whole equation. So you have to kind of elevate him with getting a win over Damian Priest at Bad Blood. And I think that that's why we're going to see a longer feud between these guys that's not even going to culminate until next year's WrestleMania. This whole Terror Twins versus Judgment Day is really going to be the crust of a lot of good television for WWE throughout the end of the year and then into 2025.
You think Rhea wins, or does Liv hold on?
I did not think Rhea Ripley was going to win until they announced the shark cage stipulation. And of course, Dominic can put baby oil on and sneak out of the shark cage. He could throw some brass knuckles down to Liv Morgan and still be a factor of how Liv Morgan wins. But I think that if you put him in a shark cage and you just make it one-on-one Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan, I don't see how Rhea Ripley doesn't win that.
Yep, Liv is the betting favorite. So that's going to be a very interesting match. I'm curious to see how that one turns out. Well, we do have to get one more break in before we do. I just want to remind everybody, hey, my good friends over at Off Grid Creations, they are amazing. Mike and the team are going to take awesome care of you. I promise. If you need any T-shirts, embroidery items, like maybe some True Heel Heat hats or bandanas, or maybe cups like Joe Hendry had, you can get them. You can do it. Just go to off-gridcreations.com and say hi to my friend Mike. He's going to do a free brand consultation for you and help you out and make sure that what you need is the best that you can get. So give them a call if you wouldn't mind, please. They are at 661-300-1115. They'll do anything for you nationwide or wherever. So just give them a call once again. 661-300-1115. That's Off-Grid Creations. And I promise you, you're going to be happy you did. All right, let's get that break in. And when we come back, we're going to wrap things up with SP3 on the Mark Hoke Show. A couple guys getting acting gigs. One, I don't know how it's going to work out. We'll see. But a whole lot more coming up. And Joe Hendry, hey, Joe's getting his title shot. Look out. Stick around, everybody. We'll be right back.
Looking for high-quality custom screen printing in Las Vegas? Look no further than Off-Grid Creations. Need a few custom t-shirts for a local event, band merchandise, or family reunion? We've got you covered. Large order of uniforms for your staff, sports team, or club? We can handle that too. Our experienced team will work closely with you throughout the entire process from design consultation to final product. Call us at 661-300-1115. That's 661-300-1115. Or visit our website at off-gridcreations.com. Get a free consultation today.
101.5 FM KDAWN. You're listening to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Vegas, The Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Now, here again is Mark Hoke.
All right, let's give this one more run, see if I can do some quality radio for you for this final segment of the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN. 101.5 FM, the Talk of Las Vegas, the Odyssey app, and streaming on YouTube, X, and Facebook with SP3 from the True Heel podcast. He's the man. We all know it. Nothing?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You're the man. You're the man, Mark. You're the man. The best radio host in Las Vegas.
Wow. Thank you. I appreciate that. I have some people who probably take exception to that, but you know what? Since you said it, I'm going to play that over and over and over and over again. It's going to be fantastic. We do need to talk about this Rey Fenix thing that happened, by the way. Rey Fenix and the Lucha Dragons with our good friend Miedo has just tried to sneak out of AEW to go to WWE. They were bragging about it. Conan was helping him out, and Tony Khan put the kibosh on it. said, "You've got injury time, pal. So stick around about another year or so," because, Rey got hurt quite a bit. Your thoughts, SP3, on the Lucha Dragons disaster, at least for them. What do you think of the whole thing?
I really like the Lucha Bros. I think they're
Or
one
I
of
said
the
Lucha
greatest.
Bros, I'm sorry.
It's all right. They're one of the greatest AEW tag teams of all time. I think that they should have had another run with the AEW World Tag Team Championships. And definitely over the past year, I think that they could have been used better, especially in the tag team division, when the tag team division has kind of taken a back seat and not the same as it was the first couple of years in AEW. They have really took a step down, took a notch down with the tag team division overall. All of that saying, I also feel like, adding injury time, I didn't like it when WWE did it. I don't like it when AEW did it. It could come off as very lame. It can hurt your perception. It can hurt your goodwill with the fans and with the talent, because they're always going to have that in the back of their mind, and they might think twice about signing with you because you're kind of doing things that WWE has been known for and that talent did not like. And I say all of that to say Penta messed all of this up. This is mostly Penta Zero Mero and Conan's fault. Conan is a little salty with Tony Khan and AEW for reasons I don't even understand it. It doesn't make sense when he explains it, so I'm not even going to try to understand it. But he was the one who was talking all willy-nilly about it, said what goes around comes around, and they're leaving, they're going to leave AEW to go to WWE, they're going to make all this big money, and I think they are going to be a very big success for the WWE Tag Team division when they eventually go over there. But this is a business. And sometimes the petty and lame move, in my opinion, is the right move, because you can't let people talk that trash about you. You can't let people think that they can basically contract tamper without any consequences, that they can get an offer from you, Tony Khan. And Penta was basically taking that offer from Tony Khan and saying, "Hey, WWE, can you double this or can you match this?" And they're saying yes. And he's like, "Okay, I'm going to turn them down, and I'm going to wait till my contract expires, and I'm going to come to you." And then to not only do that, which is one thing, to then go around and tell people about
that was the dumb part.
That was the dumb part. That was the dumb part of all that. I think that everybody should play these companies against each other. I am talent first, 100%. I want all these talents to make the bag, and I think that the best thing that you can do is to let your contract expire, go into free agency, and hear both companies' offers and play the two against each other, where you go to the company that's going to pay you the biggest bag, that's going to give you the best creative, that you think that you have the best future wish financially and creatively. That is what I want all these talents to do. But you need to wait till your contract expires and you go into free agency. That was the key statement that I just put. Penta didn't do that. He waited till his contract was just a few months away, when he still had injury time that they can use. But I guess he didn't think about that, and that's why he was up on social media like, "Oh, my presence is AEW." Dude, you did too much. Now you're trying to save face, and you done messed up. You messed up all of this, and the biggest victim of this whole situation is Rey Fenix, because he did not do anything wrong. You were the one that did something wrong, and you messed it up for your brother.
Yeah, good luck. So the Lucha Brothers will be spending more time in AEW. Well, Joe Hendry has earned his world championship shot at Bound for Glory, and we got about a minute to talk about this. Is it finally time? Do we get to believe in Joe Hendry? Will he be beating Nick Nemeth and walking out of Bound for Glory as the new TNA World Champion?
TNA Wrestling, Anthem Entertainment, Tommy Dreamer, all the bookers. Please let it be time. It is time.
It's time.
It should be time. He's the hottest act, the most popular star in all of TNA wrestling. He's one of the most popular stars in all of professional wrestling. We saw that with him going over to NXT. I think that it should be Joe Hendry that dethrones Nick Nemeth. I think the whole point of Nick Nemeth winning the TNA World Championship is because he has arguably the biggest name value from his history in WWE to put over Joe Hendry and have him feel like he beat one of the biggest stars in the company. I think that is the reason why Nick Nemeth won the title, is to give it up to Joe Hendry and make him the new big star, the top star of TNA wrestling. Then now is the time, the biggest show of the year for TNA, Bound for Glory in Detroit. Joe Hendry's name should be said, and he shall appear as the TNA World Champion.
There you go. And I agree with you 100%. I want to give some congratulations to MJF, by the way, who will be in Happy Gilmore 2. That should be interesting. John Cena will be on The Simpsons, and he's going to be a voice in the Meta AI chatbot. They're going to have him be one of the voices you can pick. What do you think about that? I got about 30 seconds for you so you can plug yourself, too. You excited?
I mean, I can't see him, but I can hear him, so that should be interesting. And oh my God, the Simpsons creators, that was not John Cena. That picture that you put up, that was not John Cena. That looked more like Dave Meltzer. I just want to say.
Wow. Dave Meltzer. You got to be kidding me. That's amazing. SP3, tell everybody where they can find you and check out your podcast before we get out of here.
You can follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. Follow the gang at True Hill Heat. That is TRU, no E. And the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. We got a wrestling channel. We got a sports and entertainment channel. I'll be live over there on sports and entertainment in like 10 minutes.
Awesome. Well, go ahead and check that out. Make sure you subscribe to everything the guys at True Hill Heat are doing. SP3, thank you for coming on the show again. Certainly appreciate it, brother.
Thank you as always, Mark. Always have a good time coming over here. So I am always open. Anytime you want, just let me know.
Sounds good. All right, make sure you guys follow us on X at Mark Hoke Show, Facebook, The Mark Hoke Show, YouTube, The Mark Hoke Show, and all your favorite podcast outlets. MarkHokeShow.podbean.com is our main one, so if you want to check that out, go to MarkHokeShow.com for everything happening with the show. And we're still doing that Power Play Collectibles contest. Autograph picture up for grabs. Check it out. Thanks for being with us, everybody. We'll see you next week on The Mark Hoke Show.
Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show, like us on Facebook at The Mark Hoke Show, and visit MarkHokeShow.com to keep up with everything happening with the show. And remember to check out all of our archive shows on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show and download our podcasts at markhokeshow.podbean.com and all your favorite podcast outlets. So join The Mark Hoke Show family today, and thanks for listening.